Good morning and welcome to City of London Police Authority Board. As you're aware, the public element of today's meeting is being live streamed and those participating in the meeting have given consent to their inclusion. Chair.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone here in the room and everyone watching and joining us online. We have a packed agenda, so hopefully bear with us. Really important issues, but Town Clerk.
Thank you, Chair. Item 1, apologies. I've received apologies from Alderman Tim Howes, Michael Mitchell, Ben Murphy, Dawn Wright, who I can see is joining us online, and also James Thompson. Apologies for late arrival.
Thank you for that. Then item 2, Town Clerk.
Item 2, members' declarations, none of which I'm aware of in advance of the meeting.
Seeing none, then item 3, Town Clerk.
That brings us into item 3 to approve the public minutes and non-public summary of the Police Authority Board meeting held on the 23rd of July 2025.
Great, we'll do accuracy first. I see none, so they are accurate representation. Then matters arising in Town Clerk, I believe there is one matter arising.
Thank you. Yes, matters arising. Page 7, there were appointments made at the last meeting, but there were 2 remaining vacancies on 2 of the board subcommittees, those being 1 place on the Strategic Planning and Performance Committee and 2 vacancies on the Professional Standards and Integrity Committee.
So, professional standards, so yeah, local policing is the names have changed now.
Oh, right, okay,
yeah, that doesn't matter. That's the old vacancies.
Right.
Are there any Madouche?
Happy to put my name forward for professional standards.
Thank you. Any others who are present here today? Then I would suggest that we appoint Madouche, as he has kindly indicated. Do I have approval? I see nodding, so yes. And then for the other outstanding, I suggest that we send a message to all the members asking them to put themselves forward. Could I get delegated authority with the Deputy Chair and Town Clerk to, if others come forward, appoint those members to those committees? Thank you for that delegated authority. Okay, that is everything on the minutes. They are approved. Town Clerk.
Thank you. Item number 4, outstanding references, joint report of the Town Clerk and Commissioner. To note the outstanding references, it's for information on pages 13 and 14 of your pack.
And they are, Director.
Chair, just an update on the outstanding reference listed on page 13. So the A paper on cycling behaviour, as you will remember, went to the local policing committee on the 16th of September. There's a short summary on page 70 of the pack. We will aim to bring a paper on signage. It'll be a joint piece of work with the City of London Police to the next meeting of the local policing committee on the 10th of November.
Okay, that was the outstanding references, Town Clerk.
Thank you. Item number 5 is the Chair's public update. The report included in the pack for information on pages 15 to 16. I'll hand over to the Chair.
Thank you, Town Clerk. Yes, I will take my written report as read, but there are not a few items I would like to raise as a matter of an update. First of all, we met already informally in September as a board, and we had a chance to personally thank Andrew Lentlin for his service on this board for many years. His term of office has come to an end, so we would like to put on public records, our sincere thanks for Andrew, his insight, commitment and support, in particular around finances and efficiency projects that we've had has been absolutely invaluable, and his advice to me also when I stepped up as chair. So with that, I would like to thank him and I will send him a message after our meeting. Now, unfortunately, to more wider issues in policing, members will be well aware of the horrific attack at a synagogue in Manchester last Thursday, which indeed was swiftly declared a terrorist incident. I know that this is a deeply unsettling time for communities, Jewish community across the country, including here in the city. And I just want to thank the police, the City of London Corporation colleagues for very quick and effective response, engaging with our Jewish friends and communities in the city, providing extra reassurances. I myself joined the Lord Mayor and the Lady Mayoress, and indeed Commander Khan, for a service at Beverly Marks Synagogue the Saturday directly after. And their appreciation of the support that the corporation and indeed city police provide is enormous. It should, of course, not have to be the case that you need to protect your places of worship, your places of community in this country. It is deeply unsettling for anyone to have to do that. So we condemn what happened, but I praise the response that we've had as a united, supportive response here in the city. In particular, the police officers doing extra shifts, for example. Then also last week, most members would have seen or heard or read the news around the BBC Panorama program around Charing Cross Police Station and the horrific behaviour displayed in that program. Now, this is, of course, a matter for the Metropolitan Police Service, and I'm not there to judge or comment on that, other than that these kind of things have an impact on policing as a whole, and have an impact on communities as a whole. I'm glad that there was swift action there. It actually coincided with a conference that the City Police and the City Corporation supported, so Black Police Officers Association, and although that was actually, in a sense, good timing, because it was a time where people could talk, be honest, be open. And I know Town Clerk, you were there, the Commissioner was there, Deputy Chair, you were there, Michael Mitchell spoke on behalf of the Police Authority as well. Unfortunately, I was off sick with COVID, but I think that dialogue, that conversation is absolutely important, and the actions that we take collectively here. And perhaps, Deputy Commissioner, in your updates, if you could kind of stand still by both those items, that would be much appreciated. Are there any questions at this stage for me? No, then we get to item 6, which is the Commissioner's update.
Thank you, Chair. So taking the Commissioner's update report as read, I'll just comment on those 3 issues that you've raised. So firstly, and to echo your comments, recognising the tragic loss of life from the terror attack and the injuries and all those affected by it in Manchester on Thursday morning. In terms of the impact across policing, it's felt across the UK, it's felt in terms of our communities, and particularly we've also seen some community tensions across the country directed at a number of different people and religions. To reassure you, we stand up very quickly in those circumstances. It's really important for us in the city to be visible in terms of policing, to reassure all of our communities around the safety and how they operate. And led by Detective Chief Superintendent Mandy Horsburgh as Gold, for instance, I believe we did that. Just as a snapshot, I believe the incident came in at about 9:31. By 9:40, our Gold was informed. So that should hopefully reassure members and the community around the national stand-up structure around something like this happens. We had our first Gold group at 11:15. That doesn't mean nothing was done between that time. We do fast time actions, but the first Gold group meeting was at 11:15. The first London PAN Gold group was at 11:45, and we had a number of Gold group meetings with actions, officers staying on duty, taskings and reassurance patrols. So always focused and in our minds in terms of that preventative element and counter-terrorism in the city, as you all know. So a very tragic incident that will no doubt unfold further as we hear more. Secondly, and the the shocking panorama programme, as you mentioned, and agreed, Chair, not for us to respond to here in terms of the Metropolitan Police, of course, but in terms of wider policing, it affects all of us, and there is not a police force in the country that should sit and say we have no problems and we have no issues. That happens, we see it. We're all working hard to remove people from policing that shouldn't be in policing, and that is a tough job at times. What I can reassure the committee here in terms of our own processes, and there are a lot of things that we're doing, but since that programme came out, the Commissioner has personally put out force-wide communications around his expectations, the impact and standards. We've engaged with our relevant internal network leads to get a sense of feeling from our own organisation and to further understand the culture. We've had briefings with all of our custody staff, and of course we only have one custody in the city. We've implemented and worked on and have been working on the new vetting authorised professional practice. Our professional standards department does a number of prevention work, and that's overseen and visible to the Professionalism and Trust Committee. But that includes inputs for all new joiners and leadership courses, and ourselves as chief officers, we go on those courses and deliver those inputs around standards. There's articles and feedback around off-duty conduct. We have a number of case studies and anonymised surveys that we do to check on culture, as well as doing cultural audit into teams as well. You'll recall that we have a confidential and anonymous reporting mechanism called Bad Apple, which is an internal mechanism, as well as Crime Stoppers and other external mechanisms that people can report into. Professional standards have already done a quick time review into custody complaints. So over the last 18 months, there was 13 complaints. None of those were upheld, and none of them related to use of force or discriminatory behaviour. But important that professional standards are checking that based on that. But of course, the issues around culture are far wider. Our counter-corruption unit has a control strategy, and this focuses on key areas of potential corruption, such as misconduct, sexual misconduct and vulnerability being priority areas for those. And of course, again, we have whistleblowing processes internally where people will be supported. And the final one is we're also engaging with our IASG, our Independent Advisory Scrutiny Group, and our youth IASG as well, to garner feelings and suggestions around how we can work harder on culture and standards in the organisation. So that's just a snapshot of the things we've done since that programme broke, and of course all the ongoing work you know about in terms of that. And as you say, Chair, on a slightly more positive note, our hosting as a one-off event of the National Black Police Association conference last week was, I would suggest, a very successful event, a really important event for us and the city to show our commitment to policing colleagues across the country, with over 400 delegates, some really important speakers, some very challenging conversations, and did allow the space to talk through some of the challenges from the programme that we knew were coming. So worth thanking everyone who was involved in the planning and execution of that, and also in particularly the support from members, from the town clerk and the corporation in general, which was really warmly received. I think that has, if anything, improved trust and confidence in the city, potentially in policing from our black colleagues, and has also, as a side note, ended up with a lot of people who now want to come and work for us in the city, which is a good indication and a slightly more positive message to finish on. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions or observations from members? Helen.
Not a question, just some feedback. I met the past Police and Crime Commissioner from Bedfordshire the other evening at one of the city dinners, who made the comment that the results in our recent inspection was absolutely outstanding, and said that there was no other force, I think you said this, but no other force that came close to matching any of the achievements in city. I just felt that it was really important to say that. Actually, I think the word he used was extraordinary, that and was very, very positive about the approach and the way in which city police has operated. So I just wanted to feed that back.
Thank you for that, and absolutely echo that. Yeah, Lisa.
I just want to express thanks to you, Chair, and the Police for reassuring messages that came out after the Manchester terror attack to all members. And, you know, it's your leadership on this issue is greatly appreciated, and your steps to engage with communities. Thank you.
Thank you. And I think, and we know that, but these things, more communication is better almost. It's like rather than say and then less. But the team behind it, both from the police and from the city corporation, were superb in the way they responded. So I will pass on those things. And with that, Town Clerk, we get to item.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Item 7 is the police planning performance update, Q1, report for information on pages 21 to 58 of your pack.
Yes, and this is for information. So I'm not and what is important is part of our new governance structure where we are mandating and empowering the committees to do more of the work, but then to report back to this main board. I'm not just proposing that we go into detail because the detailed discussions have been had at the committee stages. But if there are some general observations, then I know that you would like to say something, that Chair. But also, if afterwards, if you have any feedback on the format, I think the new information is helpful, is useful. There's still a bit of tweaking of what's, you know, the best way of presenting it and what's the most relevant information. I think there's a point around baselining some of the values for all the quantitative metrics so that we can measure going forward where we are on that. But if there's any feedback, do let us know afterwards. Do let the team know as well. But the Deputy Chair.
Thank you, Chair. Particularly on the policing plan performance, very detailed discussion was had at the local policing committee recently on this pack. I guess the comment to echo what you were saying is I think the new presentation and the data that we've got, this is some of the clearest that I've seen in my time on PAB. I think it's incredibly helpful. We continue to tweak and look for improvements, and to your point, to look for that baseline so we can really sort of track our performance much more closely. But I think this is a very helpful way of doing that. And I think under agenda item 9, we can probably talk about sort of how we escalate issues from subcommittees to this board.
Absolutely. Any other comments, questions? No, that is to note. Town Clerk, item 8.
Thank you. Item number 8 is the City of London Police Effectiveness, Efficiency and Legitimacy Report Findings 2023 to 2025. It's a report of the Commissioner for information on pages 59 to 68 of your pack.
Yes, and this is indeed around the appeal inspection. We had a detailed discussion at our informal meeting on the 17th of September. And the former Police and Crime Commissioner, Bedfordshire, already said what I wanted to say, which is these are fantastically strong results. And just to put on record, public record, our thanks to the Commissioner, Deputy Commissioners, and indeed the whole leadership team, and indeed all colleagues at City of London Police for achieving these strong results in appeal inspection. The inspector said that there is no, if the police continues this trend, it will be one of the most outstanding police forces in the country. So there's no, the pressure is there. So we can't sit on our laurels. Just I think what is important going forward is, and that's particularly in the local policing committee, but there will be some of the other committees like professionalism and trust as well, around monitoring progress against the recommendations and preparing for the next inspection. Just to highlight for members that the next appeal inspection will include for the first time fraud, and thanks to Nick and colleagues for achieving that and working with the inspectorate and indeed with colleagues across the country to prepare. It's of course going to be really important that we score well as a police force. It's about our response to local frauds. It's not our national fraud leads, it's a local response. So that's important not to forget. And then I know that the previous inspector's reporting to corruption, which was a national one as well, I believe, will be picked up by the Professionalism and Trust Committee as well. but that is coming up. I don't know, Deputy Commissioner, if you want to say a few words.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for the comments, much appreciated, and result of a lot of hard work by a number of people. I won't go into the detail of the report. What's probably better for me to say is just briefly explain what we've done since. So we're all very pleased with the result, but this is about continuous improvement. How do we carry on improving services around the city? And actually, whilst we're really pleased with the grades, all of this work improves service to victims and service to our communities, which is the goal of the HMRC and the goal of us, of course, in policing in this committee. Some of the challenges are that PIL moves on as society moves on and changes, so categories change. Our outstanding for crime data integrity, that's not going to be measured next time. They will, of course, check on crime data integrity, but as a standalone category, that's not in there. And you can't stand still because people improve and you need to keep momentum going. So we absolutely do that, and that would have been seen hopefully from the police authority team, who are always in our meetings, through the operational improvement boards where we are driving improvements already. We've done a huge amount of work around our prevention model, and we've also had a deep dive into our counter-corruption and professional standards work. That's going to have some work done on it over the next few months to make sure we're in a good, stronger position as possible. And we've also started looking at what our fraud offering is locally and how that links in nationally as well. So that continuous improvement piece, well in track and didn't really stop, to be honest. Otherwise, it of course wouldn't be continuous. So a strong position to build from there, but lots of different areas of business to make sure that we're performing for all of our victims and all of our communities on. So that was all I was going to say there, Chair, unless there's any questions.
Thank you. Yes, Deborah.
Yes, if I could echo the congratulations for the hard work that's been done. But I wanted to focus just briefly on the adequate rating for the preventing crime in antisocial behaviour. It says that there are still 25 forces graded good and 2 graded outstanding. And in the sort of summary on over the page, it doesn't really explain to me quite why we were graded adequate and not better. And I wondered, how do we go about learning from the outstanding forces? Because if there are 2 outstanding and we are adequate, and the 25 that are good, what kind of processes do we have in place to actually learn from the people that are outstanding? So thank you.
I think you'll do that, and then I'll go to the Deputy Chair after that.
Thank you. Yes, so absolutely, in terms of the learning, it's a really important point, and that is part of the good thing about this process. So we, through this approach and also in the future, do go and look at other forces who are delivering services particularly well, and the HMRC themselves signpost really good practice from other forces. They've signposted us for some areas as well, so that's part of their role. The detail, of course, and it's not actually a huge report in terms of reading, but on the HMRC FRS website, you can find all the reports, and the detail is there. I think sometimes the question titles are very broad and can be concerning. I don't think that the report itself says that, you know, we are not working hard to deter antisocial behaviour or looking after vulnerable people, but there are a number of formulated question sets within those. That was probably one of our weaker areas in terms of the grading, despite doing a huge amount of work on that. Some of the main issues we had were our problem solving approach, so the structured scientific approach to problem solving in the city. Some of that is complex by our size and our dynamic, but we can still do better at it. And the other element was our focus around prevention, and that focus is already shifted and changed. And the third part to that was our partnership working, how there was somewhat a lack of collaboration amongst partners and policing. We've already addressed that with a huge amount of work. So we've got a new prevention approach, which is a safer city streets approach. That is redesigning what our prevention and partnership hub looks like and considering a collaborated team with corporation resources as well. So kind of bit of a teaser trailer there. Watch this space. That will be coming soon. And our whole prevention campaign you will have already seen kick in, which includes Operation Swipe, which is our approach to mobile phone theft, and encompasses things like Operation Reframe, which is our nighttime economy and violent crime reduction. And that, of course, all supports the policing plan ambitions of reducing and preventing both violent crime and theft. So one area where we've done a huge amount of work in already.
And Deputy Chair.
Thank you very much. This is a very helpful way of looking at this, and I think, like Deborah, I've been sort of counting up the so where do we rank on certain things, and it's really good to be able to note that we're one of the 2 top forces in the country on investigating crime, and one of the top 4 on responding to the public. So things like that are really good to be able to get the message out about the city police. I guess my concern is to the project and the way that we're going to be able to scrutinise the recommendations for improvement from the Peel inspection, and just make sure, I think we discussed that this will sit within the local policing committee, but just to sort of make sure that we've got a structured way to be able to sort of look at that, you know, and be able to scrutinise as we sort of, you know, think about the next Peel inspection and how we can get even better results on top of that.
Yeah, I'm Deputy Commissioner, but
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what we've done before has worked, hence the results. So I think rather than reinvent that approach, I think there's a good level of scrutiny through that committee, and then a good level of space and time for us to do our job and make the improvements as a leadership team. So yeah, it's working, but happy to look at how we can report and make sure you've got the assurance that we're moving on it.
and it's your internal improvement board is linked to that. So it's yeah. Okay, good, fantastic. Thanks. I have Madhush and then I have Melissa.
Thank you, Chair. Just on the police powers in treating the public fairly and respectfully, we didn't do so well there, and that feels like it's one of the those areas of low-hanging fruit. Can you sort of understand how we're going to sort of improve that? A lot of forces have done a lot better than us in that one.
Thank you, Melissa, and then we'll run.
Same point, just wondering, was the grading change downwards purely down to the assessment criteria changing, or was there anything material that reduced or decreased that caused it to go down?
Thank you, Deputy Commissioner.
Thank you. Yes, of course, we were disappointed to see that grade change. I think that's a really good example of where things move on in policing. And if you don't improve the service as you go, HMIC were really clear with us is that wasn't about us doing things in a worse way. That was about other people doing things better. And we hadn't kept up with that. So that one did go down from a good to an adequate. And some of that changes, that was really around some of our use of data and our stop and search. We have very good results around things like stop and search, but the fact was there was a period in time where they inspected where we weren't doing as many checks and measures on those. That was identified, picked up, and we started doing the checks and measures again. But unfortunately for us, the specific period of time that they inspect on is what they inspect on. And there are goods out of that and there are bads out of that. And unfortunately for us, that dropped from a good to an adequate, but still adequate. And of course, one of only 6 forces to get no requires improvements in anything. So definitely a tendency for us to look at the things that have gone down and not done as well as we have, and we definitely are. But just putting that in the context of adequate's not a great word, but I feel like there's maybe a better description, but we're doing good enough in that space, but looking to do better.
Thank you, Helen.
Yes, thanks. I mean, the conversation that we had in the informal, I think, was along the lines of there's great progress here, some great results here, but we absolutely cannot be complacent about any of this. And there is substantial room for improvement, but actually we're doing okay. I think the other point is, though, to recognise, and I think this is a good thing, that the assessment and the criteria for assessment are being framed in a much more challenging way than they have been in the past. And so I think that contextualised some of the position that City have held on to and improved. But as I repeat, I say that not to be complacent, but nor to be too hard on ourselves where there is good work underway. So I still think that City's doing extremely well, but like everybody else, we can do a lot better still.
Yeah, thank you. And I think we'll leave it there because I think that is about policing as a whole, upping and improving. Nick, if you want to, yeah.
Thanks, Chair. Just to go back to your earlier point around the HMICRS future look at fraud and recognising that, yes, we need to make sure that as a force we're outstanding in delivering fraud locally, and work on going to make sure we can be confident in that. But equally, whilst it isn't, you're right, looking at our national functions, there will be lots of arrows that point back towards our national coordination and support for forces. And if we're not continuing to perform really well in supporting them, there'll be a whole load of recommendations that will come our way as a result of that inspection. So we mustn't take our eye off the ball of our national leadership role as well. Thank you.
100% agree on that. Okay, that was item 9. That takes us to item 10, Town Clerk. Oh, sorry, 8. Yeah, sorry, we're going tonight to item 9. I was thinking ahead. It is never a good idea. So we go to item 9.
Yes, item 9, quarterly subcommittee summary report. For information on pages 69 to 80 of your pack.
Yeah, and again, this is part of the new setup. I think there are some questions around the quality and then some varying length of the summaries. But this is bringing all the summaries together. And actually, we just discussed at call over that it would be good sequencing, allowing that we have also kind of a summary of the minutes and the action. So what was the discussion? What was the kind of the outcome of that, rather than the summary of just the summary of the reports, and also a way of the committees kind of escalating anything important they feel that we should spend more time on at the board. So we're going to look at that mechanism, but this is all part of our new kind of governance approach. Unless there are any, again, if there are any observations around that, about the reporting, the governance and so on, let us know either offline or now. Are there any questions or observations at this stage? I see none. Then we are now going to item 10, Town Clerk.
Yes, item 10, questions on matters relating to the work of the board, none of which I'm aware of in advance of the meeting.
Are there any questions from the floor? I see none. Item 11, Town Clerk.
Item 11, any other business which the chair considers urgent, again, none of which I'm aware of in advance of the meeting.
There is none that I'm aware of either. So that takes us to item 12, Town Clerk.
Thank you. Item 12 is to agree to exclusion of the public.
Is that agreed? And just to thank members of the public for watching this online, we'll wait until the live stream has been stopped.
Thank you. If I can please ask for the live stream to end, and I will confirm once we are into non-public session.